Hey. Lately I feel like I ain't been myself. Lately I feel like fuck everyone else. People been testing my patience, but I ain't no surgeon. I cut you to hurt you. I always been quiet and tried to just keep to myself. Do shit by myself, I hate asking for help. Stick your hand out, you might not get it back. It's a fact that I'm crazy, you don't need to ask. Twist this shit up, shoes in my shake and I'm mixing it up. Rip out my heart, pour my blood in a cup. You feel my passion, you see I ain't acting so back to take nothing. Cause bitch I've been running shit. Name the target, I'm merciless gunning shit. I'm a star, I'm your father, I'm son and shit. Probably shoot the charts up with 100 clips on the load up. I'ma spend that cash, I'ma make that back, I'ma drop my shit.
All right, hello and welcome to the K-RAD radio podcast. I am super excited because we have a local Arizona scene legend in the building, ladies and gentlemen. We have Adam Ramey from Dropout Kings, trap metal gods here in the emerging Arizona trap metal scene. And Adam, I just want to say thank you for coming to the podcast.
Thanks for having me,
really
man.
Appreciate it, dude. But yeah, I have been a fan of your guys' music since I discovered it, which was pretty recent. And I guess like we could start with nu metal. Like,
Fuck yeah.
Tell me about how nu metal is a part of what you guys do with your music and kind of where that passion came from. Like,
yeah, no, for sure. So, I mean, the first CD I ever had was Hybrid Theory from Linkin Park. So, like, immediately that was like, I was obsessed with it. I learned, like, literally every lyric on that album. And that kind of just, and then my uncle kind of, like, I grew up with my dad listening to stuff like Metallica and, like, AC/DC and stuff like that. So, like, I was already exposed to that from a young age. But then my uncle started showing me, like, Mudvayne and System of a Down and Slipknot and, like, all that shit. So I kind of wound up getting into all that because of him as well. So, like, just for, I mean, he burned me, like, all kinds of CDs, like, all nu metal shit. And then, yeah, I just wound up becoming obsessed with it and just kind of fucking never left it, really.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Like that first time you discovered like 3 Days Grace.
Yeah,
or,
right.
You know,
yeah.
like that album, like Echoes Pay, or no, what was that name of the album with like the dudes holding hands?
I don't
with
even
the white,
know.
You know what I'm talking about? The one that's like, it's Let's Start a Riot.
Yeah.
That album is lit.
Yeah. My aunt was like super obsessed with them, but I guess I never really, like, obviously I heard all the radio jams and all that stuff, and I was into it, but I never had the CD. So I guess I didn't get like insanely into it, but they're still lit though. Sully is his name, the singer.
I think so.
That band? Yeah, that guy's a beast. He's a savage.
Yeah, I remember because I feel like with metal you can't just go 0 to 100. Like,
yeah, it's
for
like
a lot
stepping
of people,
stones.
Yeah, like I remember my first one was Linkin Park. It was like homie was like his parents are going through a divorce. He was like the edgy kid. And he threw on like Linkin Park. I was like, oh, what the fuck? This is sick. And that was kind of like the first time I had heard something like screaming like with Chester, just like.
Yeah, honestly, I think me too. That was like the first thing first screaming thing I heard was Linkin Park, and I thought it was because he had such like a unique voice. It was just different, but it was cool though because they were doing new shit, you know. But I thought it was dope. But yeah, they're good. Yeah,
no, for sure. I feel like if someone were to just pick up and like listen to I don't know, like Cradle of Filth, they'd be like, no way, I'm out. Screamo, like not happening.
It's funny because like when I started getting into like the heavier stuff, Cradle of Filth was like one of the first bands that I started like getting into, like as far as the super heavy shit. And I remember like even though my dad loved like heavy stuff, he kind of was like, what the fuck is this type deal. But I don't know. Yeah, first concert I ever went to though was a Slipknot concert. So that turned out to be fucking crazy.
Tell me you've got one story from the Slipknot show.
Fuck yeah, dude. I was 12 years old. My uncle, the one that got me into a lot of this shit, convinced my mom to let him take me to the concert. because I'd never been to one, and I was just like begging her forever. I was just like, let me go, and she's like, no, blah blah. And then finally my uncle and my dad like teamed up and like got her to be like, come on, like we're gonna be there with them, it's gonna be chill, and like there's seats, like we're gonna be sitting, because it was, I think it was Comerica Theater or something like that. But yeah, so I get there and I was like stoked, and it was them, Lamb of God, and Shadows Fall. So it was like a super heavy fucking first concert.
At 12?
But that was the shit that I was into. So it was dope. And then, it like the concert started and Shadows Fall played and it was sick. And then Lamb of God went on, and that's when shit started getting super crazy. And people were like lighting shit on fire and moshing around it. And it's inside.
Jesus
so it was
Christ.
Fucking crazy. There's like
Animals.
3 mosh pits going. And there's just, circle pits rather, and there's just bunch of shirts on fire in the middle of it. Like they all took their shirts off, lit them on fire, threw them in a pile, and were just moshing around it. It was fucking nuts, dude.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and Joey Jordanson got in that drum cage thing that was like going upside down. Yeah. That shit was dope.
God, man.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. I think I was like maybe 15. And that's when my first show was Foo Fighters.
Oh,
and,
sick! I love Dave Grohl.
Yeah,
he's
like the nice fucking dude, like Nirvana, yeah. But I'll never forget. My buddy his favorite band was Slipknot, and so he was like, "We gotta fucking go!" Like da da da. And this was like when they had Paul Gray, like when you saw him too.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. I saw a midget that looked like Danny DeVito light up a crack pipe right in front of me,
you didn't.
and then toss on a Vader mask.
What the fuck?
Crazy
Damn.
shit I've seen at a show.
Crackheads, man.
Just
I
crackheads,
swear.
man. He looked just like Danny DeVito.
Maybe it was
could have
Danny
been.
DeVito. Maybe that's why he's wearing a Vader mask.
God.
Oh,
But
shit.
nah, man. See, I miss that. I miss that scene. Like I miss like
I
that. You know what I
know.
mean? And like it progressed into the metalcore, right?
Yeah.
And that was dope too. Like Devil Wears Prada,
Right.
And like, were you super into that scene too?
Oh, absolutely. Like, this was like MySpace days when I feel like, for me, that's when I got exposed to metalcore stuff, was when MySpace was popular. First band I ever found that was quote unquote like screamo was Bless the Fall. And they had 2 songs on their profiles, Dying Black Rose and Black Rose Dying. One of them wound up becoming Take Me Now. But yeah, so this is when they had like 2 songs on their profile, and like I would jam that shit like every day, and I was like, damn, this band's sick. Found out they're from Arizona, I was like, damn, that's epic, like blah blah. And then, you know, from there it started getting into like Devil Wears Prada, and who the fuck else did I like a lot? I mean, this wasn't really like metalcore, I guess, per se, but I was really into Between the Buried and Me at the time.
Okay.
As well. And then like just all the scene bands like Attack and like Dance
As
Gavin
They Lay
Dance,
Dying.
As They Lay Dying.
Yeah, August Burns Red.
Yep, August Burns Red, Bleeding Through, like all that stuff. August Burns Red,
Dude.
that's like that is the best band I've ever seen live.
They are
I
so
gotta
technical.
say,
But
they're fucking
kid me
amazing.
not that they do not look like what you would expect August Burns Red to look like.
Absolutely not. They just
That's-
look like normal dudes that work like desk jobs or something.
Bro,
It's
they
weird.
look like, not, because it's all right, because we know the struggle, but like Geek Squad. They were like
Right.
with the polos.
Dude,
And I was just
yeah,
like, what the
I mean, I
fuck?
feel like
flip-flops.
Yeah, but you know, they're just being them, you know, they don't give
Yeah.
a fuck. They're just like, I'm being me and I'm gonna go play a fucking show right now. Like,
And they're hard as fuck.
they're one of
Nobody
those bands,
cares.
they don't need their image really. They just kind of put everything through like, hey, we just fucking shred, you know? So it's like no one really cares about what they look like. They're like,
Yeah.
this guy's fucking killing
And that's
it.
what it should be like.
That's
of
what it
all
should
the
be like.
Of all the scenes,
Totally.
that should be accepted.
100%.
Because it's already like such a niche thing to be into like metal for the most part.
Right.
As opposed to like super mainstream stuff where that's
True.
pushed too. You'd think that some of those scenes would be more open. But what I found is that a lot of times it's like the opposite. There's like all these gatekeepers.
It's very close-minded.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah,
Like, you'd think
it
it'd
is
be the
weird.
opposite.
I would expect it to be the opposite, but it's very much like metal elitist type deal. It's very, I mean, but in a way, is almost every community is kind of like that in a sense when it comes to certain things. Like everyone's
True.
closed off to a certain anything. If it's new, people are afraid of it.
Right.
You know, it takes
Right.
a while for people to come around to certain things. So,
Like, how much shit did people talk on Bring Me the Horizon every single time
my
they went
God.
to drop a new album?
Right? That's another band, too. Yeah, Bring Me the Horizon, as far as, like, the scene bands, yeah, it's like, fuck, gotta be one of the biggest influences for me, at least.
Dude, Ollie's screams.
Dude, that's
and,
like
the
what I learned
breakdowns,
how
like-
to scream from was listening to Ollie Sykes specifically, I would say.
That's a really good point. And that's something that I want to talk to you about, too,
Mm-hmm.
was, so for people that don't listen to metal regularly, we are saying words. There are words behind
Mm-hmm.
there. A lot of times it helps if you look up the lyrics and then you can get into it a lot more.
Yeah.
But when you're first learning how to scream, like, how did you teach yourself? And, like, how do you maintain so that you're not... Because I've heard stories of, like, God, I can't remember, he's the screamer. I won't hold back. I won't hold back. I can't remember his name. But anyways, he, like, tore his vocal cords, like, on tour because he was screaming wrong and had to get, like, his surgery.
It's not North Lane, is it? Or, like...
No, it was, like, a recent, like, come-up band that,
Fuck. It's gonna drive me
gonna
crazy,
too.
Damn.
I'm sick of you. I'm sick of me. I'm sick of the person I used to be.
I don't fucking know. That's weird. I don't know.
It'll come to me at some random part.
Yeah,
in the show.
yeah. Well, we'll take it back to that
Anyways,
at some
but
point.
yeah, like, how did you get into screaming and, like, describe that, man?
Prior to me getting into screaming, when I was a little kid, I'll tie this in. This sounds kind of random now, but it's setting up for later on.
Yeah.
But when I was a little kid, for some fucking reason, I mean, I was like probably like anywhere between 6 to 8 years old. I was obsessed with trying to make myself lose my voice. I was like obsessed with it. So I would scream and like bloody murder into a pillow and just try to fucking shred my shit and just so I could lose. I don't know why. I thought it was cool or something. I don't know.
How old is, like, little? Like 5?
I was
6,
like between
10?
6 to 8, I would say.
Was your mom just like, what the fuck?
No, like no one could hear it because I'd like
'Cause you were in
put
the
it in my
pillow.
So like, but you know, going into the future, like, so I started getting into that music, and I'm like, I played drums, but I wanted to do vocals, and so I went a few years. I played drums for like 12 years. And then I was in a couple bands where I played drums, and I played some shows like when I played drums, and then eventually I always wanted to be a vocalist. So I just fucking started listening to, like, I liked Bring Me the Horizon screams the most, so I started listening to that a lot, and like I would just watch videos of Ollie Sykes. Like, I'd try to watch it live because you can hear like a lot of like the way you can see the way they
breathing and
do
stuff,
it.
yeah, like the
Right,
diaphragm,
exactly,
like-
dude. So, like, I would watch that shit all the time, and, like, that was honestly one of the main people. Him and Chester were, like, two of the main dudes I would listen to a lot as far as, like, trying to, like, find my own scream. Because, like, when people are trying to learn how to, like, scream, I feel like it's hard because people want to copy exactly what... And this goes for, like, singing, too, or anything like that, like... People want to try and copy exactly what they're doing, and it's good to do that when you're first learning, but the best way is, like, use it as more of, like, a guideline, and then put your own tone of voice on it, because that's what
Right.
really makes the difference between screamers is, like, obviously what you have to say and just the way it's delivered, but also the tone of your voice, because... The only reason I sound different than you or you sound different than any other person is because your bone structure is different. So the resonance, even when you're singing or screaming or anything vocal, the reason my voice sounds the way it does compared to yours is because our bone structure is different. Same voice box, different bone structure. So the notes resonate different. So if you can kind of manipulate that in your own way, you can get your own unique sound. And that's one of like the biggest things I try to tell people, like,
Be yourself. Find your own voice.
right. And it's totally fine because I totally was like,
It's
I mean,
hard,
that's
man.
if
I
you're
know I was a vocalist, like, it's
oh, totally.
hard.
If you're influenced by somebody, you know, obviously you want to sound like that, but you know, it's good for a guideline, but that's it, you know, like other than that, like kind of, and it's easier, like especially with vocal covers, I feel like people get so stuck on like trying to sound or make it exactly like it, but dude, the ones that are the best are always the ones that like they do their own thing a little bit, like they sing it in their way.
People want to feel you.
That's what I'm saying.
It gets
right.
lost in
They're like, they've heard
right?
that song a million times, but if you're gonna cover it, like what?
Dude,
you know?
And that's like another like side note, like, oh yeah, like I get like doing covers every once in a while, but like straight up like people that just cover, I'm like, why? Like I couldn't.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do it, man. Like
yeah,
making that passion.
Dude, some people dislike it. Like no,
Yeah.
no, but I feel you though. Like I don't even like playing covers. Honestly, I just like playing my own shit.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know. And it's not like a snooty thing. It's just like I just don't get that same feeling when I play someone else's thing or someone else's song rather than like when I play my own. Like it gives me a different like sense of completion or something. But I see why some people do vocal covers a lot, because like when my other band broke up, I started doing vocal covers just to like kind of stay busy and stay relevant. And
Right.
also like I could have stuff, I could still feel like I was getting an outlet with music and still be like, hey, here's like a body of work that I could show a project if they're, you know, trying to get me into it or something like that. And it was building, you know, just staying in the mix, basically.
Right. Well, because that's always a weird thing when you're transitioning between bands, but you're like,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sure you're like
fucking hard.
me.
I've been
I'm
there a
sure,
million times.
dude. I'm sure you're like me, where it's like when you're not in music or not playing music, you go fucking crazy.
Oh, dude, I want to literally die when I'm not.
Right, and
like
you'll
I've
go to a
tried
show,
it, and
like,
it's
I wanna
not
be up
good
there.
for my mental health.
I want to be up there.
Yeah,
Like the whole
dude, I
time.
hate going to shows when I'm not in a band.
Yeah, it's
Like,
the worst.
I fucking hate it because
It's the worst.
It's almost like you're on the basketball team. You're in the fucking NBA or something, and you're like watching this team in the championship game, and you're like, I want to fucking play in the championship game.
You're like,
you know,
got a pulled ACL or some shit.
Yeah,
And
you're just like, what the fuck, dude? That should be me. Yeah, nah, I fucking hate that.
Yeah, but well, dude, that's awesome. Like we could get into it a little bit later, but like at some point, like I would love to hear like your journey of like how you started and like the local bands that you were in, just like your first few.
Yeah, we
and
can
then,
talk
like,
about it.
Yeah, like
whenever.
what was that progression like? Because I feel like that's something that doesn't get talked about. Like a lot of times, you just like you see the bands that like sound good, but like nothing ever happens. They fall apart, like whatever. Just like most bands, and then out of nowhere, it's like boom! All right, these guys you used to know are now like fucking making it. You know what I mean?
So
And it's like,
crazy.
where's that gap of like
Dude,
what happens? Like describe
it
like
goes-
your journey if
yeah.
you could, man. Like that would be so valuable to like people listening, because a lot of people that listen are in the DIY scene or like in bands and shit. You know?
Right. Yeah, so like I was saying, I played drums in a few bands. The first band I was ever in was like with my homie Nick, and we just called it Fight for Glory, and it was just like a garage band type thing, you know, just like fucking played a couple shows. Like the first show we ever played was, I think it was with The Word Alive in Greeley Estates, so that shit was cool.
You played
as
with The
fuck.
Word Alive at your first show?
What? At the Nile, and it was fucking packed. We got lucky.
That's
lucky
sick.
as fuck. But it turned out to be sick as fuck, and I remember Telly did a backflip off stage, so that was cool as fuck. But yeah, so that was pretty epic. So yeah, I played a few shows in that. And then after a while, dude, like, that's when I played drums. And, like, I kind of just wanted to do vocals. So then I wound up getting in this other band. They posted something on, I think Facebook was, like, taking over at the time. But I think it was on Facebook. And then they're, like, having tryouts for, like, a screamer. So I was like, cool, yeah, I'll fucking go try it. But then I was like I was like, man, they probably have so many fucking people, like, because it was good. And I was like, dude, they probably have so many people trying out.
Right.
Like, I was just so self-conscious. I'm like, I'm probably not even going to have a chance, blah, blah. And I get there, it all, like, they just hand me a mic and they start playing. And they're like, yeah, just fucking jump in whenever. And I was like, all right, fuck it. And then I just went in and we started doing shit. And then, yeah, I wound up getting in, and then that band wound up becoming, it was called We the Collectors, and that's like where I really got my start in music, I would say, was like in that We the Collectors band. And then we did a lot of stuff. We did like a couple small little weekend warrior runs, but mainly it got me established like in the music scene, and it like showed me how like being in a band works. And like we did an album at a legitimate studio, and like it was my first real experience, and it taught me a lot, because it taught me it wound up not working out, obviously, because I'm not in it anymore, but what it did was it taught me what I did right and what I did wrong, and it built my rapport and like my report card and all that stuff.
Right,
so like
experience.
Exactly. So like, you know, that ended, and you know, it sucked, and I didn't know what I was gonna do, but I wound up just, you know, I did covers for a while,
Sure.
and I would just do random shit to stay busy, and then I wound up getting in a band with the Bad Chapter, and those were a couple friends that I had from just being in the music industry and stuff at the time. And yeah, we did the Bad Chapter for a while, and then that was like what really, really got me established in the industry, because like Phil Druyor was the vocalist, and he was in I Am Abomination. He did a tour with Attack Attack, and like, so he was, and I was a fucking huge I Am Abomination fan, so it was just like super cool. And that wound up not working out. But you know, and I fucking wanted to quit music so bad after that, because like it left such a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
And like we got super established, and like it was just a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of hard fucking work, and I felt like it was almost for nothing. And like I wanted to quit music so bad, but like life just, it was weird, it wouldn't let me. So like I wound up just staying busy and just trying to stay positive. And like looking back on it now, if I would have quit at that point, it would have been the biggest fucking mistake of my life, because what happens after all that is just like, it's been the best experience that I've had so far. So it's just crazy to think like I really wanted to quit, you know, and I almost fucking did, but I just I wanted it, you know, like it's like, if you do
it kicks you down,
bro.
It kicks you down.
It
so
does,
hard. It's
dude.
right when you think you have
and
it,
it's
then
really
like,
just like, it's all about like how bad do
over.
you fucking want it, you know? Like that's like what I kept asking myself, and I felt like that's what the universe, or whatever you want to call it, was pushing me. It was just like, how bad do you fucking want it? And I'm like, I want it pretty bad. And so after the Bad Chapter broke up, I started doing covers again. And I remember I had the idea for Dropout Kings, and I was like, I want to do like a true rap rock band, but I was like, I don't want it to be like shitty raps that like some dude rhymes a couple words and he thinks he's a rapper. Like it needs to be a fucking legit MC, and then I want to add like just straight up screams into it. And I've had this idea since fucking ever, bro. Like ever since I was like fucking 14,
it's
15.
Been around since like what, like the 80s,
yeah,
90s.
I mean, we're not doing
like,
anything
like,
new, you know what I
but
mean?
Dude, it's so sick
yeah,
because the quality of the recordings and
and
the
it's
fucking
just
screaming with it, it's like,
you know,
that's
but
when
it's
different.
and it's just, we're just doing what we're doing, you know, and like that's why it's different. Like it's the same ideas, all that stuff, but it's just like our own perspective of it, you know what I mean? But so yeah, anyways, like I was like, yeah, I want to find a legit MC, and then I just started looking at fucking videos of like local rappers and stuff, and then I came across this one that was like AZ Underdog Cypher. I remember that's what it was called. And then it was like 5 local rappers, and then I saw Eddie on that, who wound up becoming, you know, he's the other vocalist in the band. Like it's me and him both lead vocals. And so I saw him and I'm like, that's the fucking guy I want. Like him right there. Like he's got something. I don't know what it is, but I vibe with it.
You could feel
it.
And
I could.
That's
so
dope.
I fucking like scoured the comments to find like who it was. So I hit him up, and then I'm like, I hope this guy fucking responds because I don't want to like settle for someone else. Like I want him.
Right.
And his manager responded, and he was like, I told him what I want. I wanted to do a cover of "Lying From You" by Linkin Park, and I was like, and I want him to do Mike Shinoda's part. Yeah, and then I wanted to do Chester's parts. So he was like, fuck yeah, I love that song, and I think Eddie would be super down to do it. So yeah, it winds up happening. Me and him hang out for the first time. We wind up vibing immediately. We record all the audio, and it fucking came out cool. We did a video together, and then we put it on YouTube, and it fucking like did better than anything I've ever put out before. Wow. So it was like super tight, and I was like, wow, I like was not expecting that. And then that's when all those ideas started flooding in with like wanting to do a band that was like rap rock, you know? So like I was, you know, so after we did that, I'm like, dude, that got a good reaction. Like, let's fucking make a band out of it. And he was like, all right. So then we fucking got a couple songs together, and then first song we ever wrote was Scratch and Claw, and then that wound up becoming like the song that got us our record deal, and it was a song that it's our biggest song still, but wound up being the first song.
Plug Scratch and Claw. I'm just fucking I'm gonna put it in there. Nah, dude, that song's fucking sick. That song slaps, dude. That song,
thanks, bro.
Like, for that to be your first song that you guys wrote as like a collective band,
it just like fucking too. It was interesting how it happened. But yeah, so then we wound up doing that, and then the members of the band were everybody from the Bad Chapter, and also my homie Chucky from my first band that got me really into the scene was We the Collectors. So it was my homie from that band as well. So then we all made this band, and it originally called Phoenix Down, and that was a Final Fantasy reference because I'm obsessed with Final Fantasy. Shout out. Then yeah, shouts. But yeah, so, and then like when we got the deal, we wound up finding out that there was another band called Phoenix Down. They only had like a couple hundred likes on Facebook, and we like hit them up, and we're like, and they hadn't been active in like 3 years, so we were like, dude, like, is there any way we can like
work this out? Like, buy a URL or something.
Yeah.
Come on.
And they never fucking responded or anything, and so eventually the label was just like, honestly, fuck it, just think of a new name. And we're like, bro, that's like the hardest fucking thing. Anyways, we wound up coming up with Dropout Kings that we all fucking hated at first, but then it grew on us, and we were like, shit, this is what it was always supposed to be. But
that's tight. Yeah. Dude, what was that whole like experience? Because Napalm, like, I looked Napalm Records up, and they're fire. But most of it's like symphonic metal and like
it's European like Viking metal, shit. Bro. Yeah, it's Vikings. Dude, it's Viking stuff.
So my drummer in my first band, the Unrelated, he's an archaeologist that studies Vikings.
That's sick.
Bro, he quit art. Okay, so get this. So like I met this dude. I was going to ASU, and I burnt some fucking chicken, and I was coming home after like a Friday night, and I was like, oh, I'm hungry. So like I started making some food, and I just like burnt this chicken like really bad and started smoking, like filling the room, like awful. So like I propped the door open and like was like letting the smoke out and stuff, and then this dude just walked into my apartment with a 2-foot tall Liberty Spike mohawk and like a Casualties leather jacket, and was just like, bro, you cooking food? And he had like this big ass beard, and I was like, yeah, man, like it's pretty gnarly. And he's like, dude, can I have some? And I was like, sure. And he ate a piece of this chicken, and it was like blood came out, and it was black. It was disgusting. And then he spit it out. And then he saw that I had a guitar in my room, and he's like, dude, like, do you play? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I'm in a rap rock band, and I can't remember what the name of his band was, but they were sick. It was like another local rap rock band, and he's like, dude, do you want to jam? And I was like, yeah, dude, let's do it. And that was like the start of like
how
the
crazy
project, which is crazy. But then he ended up having to leave the band because his major was archaeology, and he got an offer to study Viking bones.
That's cool as fuck.
Iceland. So he's like a Liberty Spike punk rock
Good for
casualty
him.
metal dude that
Fuck
like
yeah.
is off studying.
Honestly,
like, shout out to Dane.
Yeah, I can kind of relate to that, bro, because I've always been super interested in like ancient civilizations and like plants and like fucking psychoactive compounds and like all that shit. So like I feel like if I ever stopped doing music, it would I would do something like that too.
Yeah, dude, it's a sick passion.
You can smell that through the bag. Damn right, I brought some for the whole class. God damn. You can smell that.
All right.
Stoned Ape Theory.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
I think it's plausible because like basically in layman's terms, basically like in a nutshell, it's like imagine, I think it was from a million years ago, they're using stone tools or something like that, right? And then from like a million years ago to 2 million years ago, like they're using like the same kind of tools. I'm not sure on the time frame, but it was like either that or several 100,000 years ago. But like there was like a couple 100,000 year period where there was very little change in like the tools that they used.
Right.
And then eventually they came in the Bronze Age. In the Bronze Age, they started using like metal and like ore and all that type of shit, But that was a really long stretch of time. But then from like that time frame to like 15,000 years ago or so, like, or 5,000 years ago, I think it was, like, we just progressed like insane amounts, like it just ridiculous. Like, so it doesn't make sense if like all that time ago there was all this distance in between time and they're using the same type of tools and stuff, very little change. Now all of a sudden it's just like super inclined, it's like what changed there.
Right.
They think it was the ability to communicate with one another, because before we communicated in a similar way that animals do through body language and stuff like that, precisely, so it's like little verbal or like, social cues and like just body language stuff. And we were hunter-gatherers at the time, so we would follow herds of cattle for days. We would just they would stalk their prey, and they would just keep following them, and then they would make a kill, and they would take it all the way back to where they were at. So, well, if you're following herds of cattle, what are you gonna come across? Their shit. What's growing in their shit? Mushrooms. So you even see this in apes. If you observe them, they will, if they come across a new food source, they will take a sample of it and try a little bit of it, wait about 10 minutes, eat a little more, wait another 10 minutes, and then they eat the whole thing. So they test it out to make sure it's not dangerous for them to consume, because food was scarce at the time, which is why we had to follow herds of cattle for so far, because the food sources were very scarce, so there wasn't an option. We were eating more diverse things at the time, we were like roots and all this other shit, so like we were experimenting with stuff, so it would make sense if a few of them were like, oh, these things are growing in here, let's try a couple. Now they're dosed up on a little bit of mushrooms, right? So what happens is in your brain, it establishes new neural pathways. So there's all these new networks in your brain going off. It stimulates the communication center in your brain. This is all scientifically proven, like as far as like what it does to you. There's
studies on this too.
Yeah, and so basically, all of a sudden, that's when you start seeing the first cave paintings, because in the first cave paintings there are things like white antelope and shit. Well, that doesn't exist in nature. The white antelope don't exist. So why are the first cave paintings?
Where is that
right?
From?
It's an altered state of consciousness, and they're seeing it, and it's so profound that they're like, I gotta like put this on something. And so they're like, then they start making all the old petroglyphs and stuff, like. And that's where you start seeing the first writings and all this other stuff, and eventually you start communicating. So in small doses, it actually increases your depth perception too. Because the only time I've ever played a perfect game of beer pong was when I was shrooming. And I never thought in my life, like, I was like, we're about to play beer pong right now. I'm tripping hard as fuck. Me and my partner were both on mushrooms. I swear to fucking God, none of us we both didn't miss a cup. They didn't even get the balls back. We literally it was all us. Like, perfect game.
You
Didn't
could have,
miss a fucking
in defense
shot.
of the beer pong, you could have just been dialed in. But I think
Dude,
that helped you focus.
I wasn't that good at the time. Like,
so this was out of the
I was
ordinary?
mediocre at it was the only time before or since that's ever happened. And the only time I've
Okay, I
ever
could
played
see
beer
that being a
pong,
thing,
or
right.
the only time and that was the only time I've ever played beer pong shrooming. So there's variables. So I'm just like, all right, if that's the only variable, then, you know, and I didn't find out till later that it actually increases your depth perception. So back to the Stoned Ape Theory, though. So, like, imagine, like, a couple of them ate some of those mushrooms, and it was a little bit, and they start feeling these effects. They throw a spear or something, and they're all of a sudden they're better, you know, at hunting, you know, because they're like, their depth perception's better. So they, you know, they killed an animal or something. So imagine one of them's like, the other ones see that, they're like, damn, he ate that shit, and now he's, like, better at hunting.
He's like,
so then they want to
man.
eat it, you know?
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're eating more and more, and now they're going on these huge spiritual fucking, like, super profound trips, you know? And that's when you start seeing those first cave paintings and stuff. So it would make sense in that aspect. And that's all speculative and all that stuff, but it really makes sense more than a lot of theories that I hear for humans.
No, I agree.
And
it's a theory,
yeah.
but I do, from what I remember too,
Yeah.
is that you have to account for the doubling of the brain size, and they think that may have been what it was that triggered, because it was like our brains were one size, and then after the cow patty theory, there's Stoned Ape Theory, then the brain doubled in size, and that's when they're doing all that,
Totally.
all that stuff. So.
Right.
They tell me that I'm losing my way. They want me break a leg even when I'm not on stage. But you should know that I'll be hot before the end of the day. Daydreaming about the.
All right, we're back here. So I feel like taking it back to music a little bit more. I saw that you guys worked with Nick Sampson, and he's like a homie from Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's the dude.
Okay, so like the importance of finding a producer and like how that can separate yourselves.
Dude.
Like, how crucial is that?
You know, it's funny you bring that up, because I didn't actually realize until we recorded with Nick Sampson how integral it is to have a producer that, like, works with your band. Like, the best way I can explain it, and our guitarist says this a lot, Stage says this a lot, like, your producer is almost like another member of the band that's not in the band in a way. Like, it's you gotta look at him as, like, another member of the band, though, in a sense. Like, because he's that integral. And, like, I mean, if we were to do an album with a different producer, it's going to sound different, you know?
Right.
Because, like, Nick knows what we're going for. Some other guy's perception of it might be a little different, you know? So it's like, and that will factor in, like, how he mixes it. Like, you know, what he thinks is a good take, or, like, what he's like, hey, you should try this, you know? Because Nick did that a lot. He's like, hey, would you be down to try this, this, and this? And, like, he pushed me to do things that, like, I'd never probably would have done if it wasn't for him. And, you know, he got me really started thinking more outside the box, and just, like, little shit. He would, like, I would have, like, a line, and he'd be like, trick it up a little bit with, like, this, this, and this, you know? It's, like, little things like that go a long way, you know? Even, like, changing a couple syllables around, you know? Like, it makes a fucking difference, you know? So I feel like finding a producer is, like, one of the most integral parts of being in a band that's successful.
Dude, I fully agree with you. And like that's been the struggle for a lot of the projects that I've been in too, is just like finding the right guy.
Right.
And especially in Arizona too, there's so few
like,
producers that are out there that are like going for like,
there's actually a lot now.
There are, but
the good ones, yeah.
Right.
But I know a few if you ever wanted some suggestions, so.
Absolutely on that. Because do you know Hiram?
I was just about to bring Hiram up. That's my homie.
Yeah, dude.
Hiram's super good.
His shit is dope.
Yeah, I did that song with Dayshell, and Hiram recorded that.
Combat?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, Hiram recorded it. He recorded the whole album, the whole new Dayshell album.
Wow.
And it sounds good as fuck.
It sounds super dope.
Yeah, I mean, it's not out yet, but, like, I've heard, like, all the other, like, Shaylee showed me a lot of it, and it was sick as fuck.
That's so dope.
Yeah.
Dude, that collab is so sick, too.
It was tight.
He was from Of Mice and Men, right? Like, he used to be?
Yeah.
What did he do in Of Mice and Men?
He was a clean vocalist, and he wrote all the guitar shit.
I need your love like a boy needs his mother's
Second and Sebring. Yeah, he wrote that.
God, man, that song is so... song gives
he's
me
fucking
chills
amazing.
to this day,
Me too.
Man. That's fucking...
Dude, and, like, that's the craziest part of, like... That was honestly one of my favorite experiences of, like, doing music so far, because I always looked up to... I've always loved Shaylee's voice. Like, I felt like he was the most unique singer ever, you know, and, like, just... fucking getting to work with them was cool as fuck, and now we're friends, you know, so it's just crazy. Like, everything comes full circle, bro. Like, and I listen, and like anyone that knows me knows I listen to Dayshow a lot. So it's just random, dude. It just fucking happens, bro. It's just, if you put yourself in the right spot at the right time, like, it's gonna fucking happen. It's just weird.
You know, I heard a quote one time, and it said that once you decide to do something, the whole universe conspires to make it happen for you.
That's very true. It, like, does. You just gotta believe it fully. You know, like, there's this podcast I watch a lot. It's like the Charlie Rocket Show, but it was like 2 Chainz's manager, and like he just tells you like all the shit that he's done, and like he does this thing called like a quantum possibilities notebook, and he just like writes shit in there. Like every day I'll write shit like I want this fucking tour to happen. Like, I'm gonna talk to him today, they're gonna respond, it's gonna be easy. You know, like I put, it's gonna be easy for everything. And it's like, and eventually like law of attraction and stuff like that, like you just gotta fucking channel it, bro. Like, I feel like people fuck up time because like they think we as humans experience it linearly, like one moment to the next, you breathe in, breathe out, that's a second, you know, like. But I feel like time's more like, instead of like linear, it's more like there's tangents, and it's like, so there's different possibility tangents, and like you can tune into any one of those. Like, it'll ultimately probably lead you to like around the same area somewhat. But I feel like there's crucial moments in time where like, if you want this to happen, like that possibility exists somewhere out there. Yeah. You just have to channel it. Yes. And you can go on to it and do that, you know, but you have to be, because it's everything's frequencies. Like, this is proven.
Music
like
is frequency.
We are frequency.
Your vibe,
right.
love,
Yeah.
like,
I mean, everything is a frequency.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like matter is a frequency, you know, it's like, if you can tune into it, like, it will happen. Like, it just will. And, like, one thing he always says, too, is, like, it already happened. It's just time hasn't caught up with it yet. You know, like, it's already gonna happen. Just time hasn't caught up yet. And it's like, dude, that's super fucking true. Like,
chip away.
Yeah, pretty much.
Dude, that's tight, man. That's really nice to hear. Like, that's so comforting to hear, because you think about how many aspiring artists or aspiring painters, you know, musicians, entrepreneurs, like people with that idea where it's like they bleed this passion, but it hasn't happened yet. But they know in the back of their mind that if they keep going, something will happen, because there are little unexplainable things that just align sometimes.
So true.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like in those moments
weird.
You're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah. Nah, it's weird.
You know?
I feel like the universe, or like God, or like whatever you want to call it, like if you tune into stuff and like, because I feel like you get rewarded for being like a questioner and like a seeker and like an adventurer, you know, like every integral character, like even in all religious texts or like big stories or like fucking superheroes, like they all went on an adventure. You know, like every fucking superhero went on an adventure. Every like religious archetype like went on a journey. You know, so it's like it's all about the journey. You know, and like even like people, like there's this whole thing about like enlightenment. Like no one can ever really be fully enlightened, but it's about the journey to enlightenment. You know, being as good as you can be, like that's what it's about. You know, like progressing and getting better rather than being perfect, which is kind of why you're here, because if everything was perfect, you wouldn't need to be here. But there's chaos and there's all this other shit. So it's like for you to progress, like you have to have some kind of struggle, like, you know, or else you're never going to get better. That's why, you know, it's just, there'd be no point if everything was perfect. wouldn't work. Gotta have that duality.
Right. You have to have that struggle. You have to have that chip on your shoulder. You have to have that want.
Right. It's
to
a
get
badge
better.
of honor, bro.
It is, man.
You go through something.
Levels, bro.
Dude, think of like when
There's levels.
any really, really, really successful person, most of the time, came from nothing.
Shit.
Dude, because they were hungry. Some of these kids that are born with like trust funds and shit, like live off daddy's money their whole lives and they don't wind up doing shit with their lives. Like, that's not everybody. Like, there are people that become very successful and they inherit that motivation and all that other shit. But I think generally, like, it's that or that. And so it's like, dude, there's something to being tested or like going through struggle. Like, I feel like it gives you years of life experience. It's like, you watch Dragon Ball Z?
I wasn't into Dragon. I was a Pokemon guy.
Oh, I am too. I
Digimon
love
at all.
Pokemon. Fuck Digimon.
Yeah,
But
right?
yeah, such a ripoff. But yeah, I feel like it's like being in the hyperbolic time chamber though. Like every minute is like an hour in the hyperbolic time chamber or something like that.
Yeah, or like, okay, so like the content. I just watched this is in my head because I just watched Cloud Atlas.
Oh yeah,
have you ever
yeah,
seen
yeah.
that? With
wait,
Tom
I'm
Hanks
thinking
and
of-
Halle Berry.
Dude, I
it's
know.
older.
Bro, I've seen it, but I think I fell asleep with it. I always confuse that with Atlas Shrugged.
Yeah, I could see
Yeah,
that.
with
I can see that. It's an investment. It's a 3-hour movie. But
Yeah.
the whole concept of it is like your actions from the past impact the future and the present at the same time. And they just carry onward through time and space forever, through infinity. So it's like every decision you make, good or bad, carries off and has like the butterfly effect through time and space. And so like what you were saying about the whole like linear aspect of time, it's almost like, because you've heard the theory where you're living a million different realities at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? Have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
And I feel like that kind of ties
I
into
mean,
it.
yeah, I feel like that's totally accurate.
Because it's like every decision you make, if you say like
Yeah.
yes or no,
It
or
just
like,
opens
go,
up a new
don't go,
tangent,
and it's like,
you
okay,
know?
so like you went down that route.
Yeah,
Like, what if
it's
you
all
said
based
yes
on
there,
choice,
no
you
there?
know?
Right, and so it's like...
Because
but-
you're conscious to make a choice, so
Yes.
that's what the whole importance of it all is,
yeah,
you
and
know?
free will.
Exactly, free will. See, a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people don't understand that, but yeah, you're super right. It's all about because we have, like, even just going back to, like, the Bible and stuff, like, they say, like, the knowledge of good and evil. Well, that's, like, choices, you know? It's a different
Yeah.
way of saying, like, now you are intelligent enough to have choices and you know what's good or wrong, or you know it's good or bad, you know what I mean? Like, you
Right.
know if you do this, it's fucked up, whereas, like, an animal doesn't. It's just like, I need to do this because this is what I fucking do.
Okay, tell me if you've experienced this or not, but like when you do something that you know is not the right move, something negative happens.
Dude,
Like,
so...
usually it's almost twice
Yeah.
as bad, but
Because everything that goes around comes around, bro.
it does, and I've seen
Eventually.
it eventually, and I think that's the thing where it's like your actions have consequences, but you can't know when that
Absolutely
boomerang
not.
comes back to
Right.
you. You know, whether it's good
True.
or bad.
You threw it fucking 3 months ago or something, you know? Yeah.
right.
But yeah, no, definitely. I feel like that would, because I mean, I feel like back to like being in a frequency, if you do bad shit that you know is bad, you start lowering your frequency, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then like you're resonating with this bad stuff to happen to you because that's what you're putting out there. So if the law of attraction is a thing, then you're gonna
like you
attract
said.
that as
Yep.
back in return, you know?
Just like you said, like what would you say? Like, what's your opinion on the SoundCloud rapper vibe that's kind of transcended us?
I think it's, dude, I think I like the fact that artists found a new medium and became really successful with it, and they knew how to work it and work it in their favor to where, like, a lot of these record labels are just, like, useless, kind of. Because, like, they become so successful independently just by putting out shit on their SoundClouds and, like, all this stuff. And it's, like, you know, everything fucking changes, you know? This is just what's cool right now, you know?
Yeah.
Like, a few years ago would have been what was on MySpace, you know? Like, it's just that's just what it is now, and I fuck with it. You know, like I think it's cool.
Yeah, like
I
Star-Lord and fucking...
Absolutely, I would
That
love to
shit's
tour
dope.
with Scar-Lord or Ghostmane or fucking Suicide Boys and. Yeah, nah. I played a show with Ghostmane, Puya, and Fat Nick. That shit was tight.
That's sick.
Yeah, we're playing The Gathering, and we're about to play with Puya and Suicide Boys, so that shit should be sick.
Bro, I wanted to ask you if you were either not maybe collabing, but had like show plans with Suicide Boys, any of the Lils,
Yeah.
Starloid, Zillakami, like
Yeah,
any of the, like
I want to. We don't have anything like planned though
Yeah.
at all. But I mean, I have a tour coming that is somewhat fits in with what you're saying, but I can't like say anything about
That's
it.
fair.
I know.
hashtag disclosure.
But yeah,
That's
but
dope though.
there is something going on in that realm though.
That's dope, man. And what I appreciate
Somewhat.
so much.
No one you mentioned though.
Okay, well, no. But like, what I appreciate so much about you guys is that me being like metal fan, like more on that side of the fence. Like, I appreciate the guitar and like the screaming vocals that you do like so much, and then the rapping is dope. But that's like extra for me. Just
Yeah,
like as
nah,
a
I
fan,
feel
you know what I
you.
mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And
Because that's the kind of shit I want to hear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
when I listen to a band, I want to hear that. And that's, like, why I was like, I want to make music like that, you know? Like, that's what I want to hear. I want
Right.
to hear fat fucking riffs, but I also want to hear, like, sick fucking rap flows and all this other
Yeah,
shit,
like
you
busted
know?
out 808s
Yeah,
and,
like,
hard
I want to
trap
hear a
heavy
gent
dope
riff over
shit.
a sick-ass rap flow. Like, why not?
Yeah.
You know?
Agreed, man. Agreed. Well, hell yeah. Well, dude, you just went on tour with OTEP.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not just. But
Yeah.
like fairly recently.
Yeah, like a year ago.
Right. Was that your guys' first like major tour? With,
Yeah.
like established.
That was, like, our first tour.
What was that like, man? What was like a highlight from that trip? Like a nugget that you pulled
Dude, going
out?
to Canada was fucking cool. And then, like, this was before the album was even out. And, like, we had a few singles out. And this dude in Canada, like, knew every fucking word. And, like, and to the songs that we had out. And it was just fucking crazy. I'm like, what? Like, I didn't even know, like,
That's
we were
sick.
doing it like that. I don't know. It was just cool just getting to see it. But yeah, that was definitely sick. Like, there's a lot of highlights on that tour, and there's lowlights too. You know, it's just that's tour.
Yeah,
Like,
bro. I went on my first tour. It was just like a little DIY tour, like 10 days with the little pop punk band that I'm in right now, and like you learn so much from being on the road and like okay, like I fucking stank, bro. Like
Right.
finding a shower is
I
like
fucking
a
hate
haven.
that. Yeah, baby wipes, dude.
Oh, God.
Baby wipes are
Baby
like
wipes and
life.
fast food.
Yeah, baby wipes are great. The ones that are like, they're not quite baby wipes. They're like fucking, I don't know. They're like
The
a little
girl
different.
wipes?
No, they're like, there's a brand called Dude Wipes or Dude Shower, some shit like that. But they're the shit though. Those things help a lot.
They help you
on
survive.
tour.
man.
Fuck
They
yeah.
help you survive. But
Truck
well,
stop showers too.
I do have two somewhat like regular segments that I try to incorporate.
Yeah.
Are you on Reddit at all?
Oh, I love Reddit. I'm always on Reddit.
Hell yeah.
I'm a lurker though.
That's fair, dude. So
Yeah.
I'm a ghost.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
like, I don't really like
Yeah.
upvote, downvote, so people get shit all over that. But I wanted you to know if these headlines for like some of the Reddit posts are trap, rap, or just what the fuck.
Okay.
So the first one, there's a dude in Oregon that first of all, so shock value, right? Like shock rock, like Alice Cooper back in the day,
Right.
Marilyn Manson,
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
right? And I think that after Marilyn Manson, I can't remember who said it. They said the most shocking thing that anyone could ever do, because everything's been done after like Rob Zombie and like, you know, some of these shows, or like God, I can't remember, Cannibal Corpse and like whatever, right? Would be if someone were to take their life on stage.
Yeah.
And I saw an article where this dude in Oregon went on stage at an open mic and fucking played his little keyboard song and then just ended
Fuck.
it on stage in front of like 30 people.
That's fucked. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, I feel weird talking about it, but like category wise or just how does it make like fuck, right?
Yeah, like what do you mean?
I never thought
categorize?
anybody would ever do that.
Yeah, that's wild. Fuck.
Yeah. Let's skip over that one.
Okay.
Please hang up and try again.
All right. Other story. Granny turns herself into the cops at 93 because she's been a good girl her whole life and she just wanted to be arrested.
Tight.
Is that trap?
That's pretty
metal,
trap.
Or
actually, it's pretty metal. Yeah.
Like
and the first one was pretty metal too.
It's like super metal.
Yeah, that's pretty metal.
Okay, so we'll go metal on the first one. Second one with Granny. You say trap or metal?
I was going, that's pretty metal.
All right.
If you're getting arrested just because you want to get arrested, fuck it.
I feel like trap would be more like you got arrested at 93.
Yeah, or if she was like slanging,
Herb
if she got arrested for like selling weed or something, that would be pretty trap.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That was the first time I've done that.
Yeah.
So, other thing that we do is I want to know what your rad message is. That if you could send out, like we've been sending vibes the whole podcast, but if you could see little 10-year-old Adam and you could pick yourself up and just like,
that'd be so fun.
This, like, and this, right?
That'd be cool.
What would you tell yourself?
Man. I mean, if it was myself, I would be like, dude, just fucking do what you want to do and it's gonna be chill. You know? Like, do what you really, truly feel. Like, as corny as it is, what you feel, like, inside of you. Like, you know it drives you. You know, it just gives you that feeling that's unexplainable. Like, actually gives you a sense of purpose. Like, whatever that thing is, do it. You know? Just go for it. Fuck it. You have so much time. You know? That's probably what I would say to myself. But to others, that's maybe not just my perspective. I guess my rad message would be just fucking, dude, like, okay, if we had an infinite lifespan, like, none of this would mean shit, you know? The reason it's so special and different is because it's limited. So it's like, why are you gonna waste your time at, like, this job that you fucking hate, or, like, and I get it if it, like, because I get it if it, you know, pays the bills and all that stuff, but, like, you still gotta do that and then make time for your passion. Like, you have to do that because, like, you just have such a limited amount of time, and, you know, the last thing I want to be is on my deathbed, like, having regrets, you know? Like, I definitely would never want to have that, so I feel like for people out there, just, like, go for it. Like, take that fucking leap of faith and just, like, you're not gonna regret it. Because, like, I heard this quote from, I forget who it was from, but it was, like, I think it was a stand-up comedian, but it was, like, people talk shit about guys that are, like, 30 living, or, like, 30, 35 or whatever, living
Bill
on
Burr.
a futon. But, like, there's guys out there that would kill to be living on a fucking futon, that are, like, fucking with their wives and shit, you know? Or, like, in their shitty job that they fucking hate, you know? Like, you know, you just gotta fucking... All I'm saying is, like, life can't just be pay bills and die.
Right.
At some job that,
Find
like,
your-
you can replace, you can be replaced at. Like, I feel like this is like a spirit school, in a way, like Earth is. In a weird way, like... I feel like it is. Like, you're here to learn something. I mean, I feel like it's not completely random. It just, there's a reason why I'm tuned into my consciousness right now and you're in yours, you know, and why it's not reversed. And maybe we're all one in some other dimension, you know? But I feel like there's some weird shit going on, and I want to get to the bottom of it. So I feel like if people, like, take that with them and they pay attention to little things, like, your life will be good. You just have to tune in with it.
Follow your passions. Chase knowledge, question
Facts.
everything,
True.
and be yourself.
Preach.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
Those are our rad messages for tonight.
Facts.
Adam, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Dude, thanks
it's
for
been
having
an
me.
absolute pleasure.
It was
You're
tight.
a true homie. Please go check out Dropout Kings' latest release, Audio Dope. Check out really all their stuff on Spotify, iTunes, their website, dropoutkingsmusic.com. Like, it's all lit. Check out the merch. They got pre-orders and all kinds of stuff. Anything else popping off you want the people to know about?
We have, for Arizona people, we have a show coming up, Full Moon Festival, July 20th, at the Press Room. Should be pretty cool. And then also August 3rd, we're playing The Gathering, and I believe it's 6 p.m. main stage. We're the first band on main stage. That'll be in Indiana. And if you're in that area, come to that shit. And then we also have a tour coming up. Just stay tuned on social medias for that next one. But yeah, that's basically all we got for now. We're working on new material. Just trying to fucking keep it fresh for you guys.
We are all the better for it. Thank you, my friend. Have a great evening, everyone.
Later.